first thing that I did wrong was that I wrote a genre period piece that took place in the 70s, and it was a bit of a Western. The second thing that I did wrong was that we filmed in the middle of July in the Inland Empire, which went on record as being one of the hottest years ever in the Inland Empire. The third thing that I did wrong was that I needed a vehicle from that period of the 70s to be in that film. The fourth thing that I did wrong was that I had a kid. And with kids come their mothers. Except fortunately, this kid and his mother, they turned out to be very accommodating, and they were very fun people, and they were great to work with. So that worked out for me, actually.
The only thing that I did not have was something else that they tell you not to use. A dog. But don't worry, I put one in my next film. Everything that would be a pain in the ass to get and handle, I had in my script.
Now, what I did right.
So in 2017, before the world turned topsy-turvy from COVID, I decided to make a short film. This was before everyone and their mother had access to a cinema camera in their pocket. I had always written screenplays, and I had entered several contests with pretty good results. But anyone knows that trying to get your scripts out there is a hard task. I took all kinds of screenwriting courses from famous Hollywood writing gurus, and I even did some acting classes at the Berg Studios in Los Angeles so that I could learn how to be a better writer and to interact with actors. But then I decided that maybe I would enjoy being behind the camera. Maybe that would be better. And so I became interested in cinematography. I attended the UCLA cinematography program, and I did another masterclass program. It was offered by one of the members of the American Society of Cinematographers in Los Angeles. It was an excellent class, and it was grueling. You know, we had to go for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something, and it was from like 9 or 10 in the morning till like 10 at night. You know, but I'm glad that I did it, and I learned a lot. I was able every year to attend the ASC open house, and I got to meet great cinematographers like Roger Deakins, James Laxton, Shane Hurlburt, and others. So after graduating from those, I decided that it was time to make my short film. I had originally hired a different director, but the deal fell through after my co-producer and I met him. Something didn't feel quite right. So my co-producer felt that I should go on and direct it since I had written it. So that's what I did. I didn't know where to start. I was going to be the director. We were the casting agents, the line producer, the prop masters, the production designers, the makeup artists. We were literally everything in one. Oh, and did I mention that during it all, I had unknowingly had a torn meniscus that was increasingly becoming worse? And I was still working as a recovery room nurse at the time. No, I don't think I mentioned that. The first thing I did was I bought a production budgeting program software from a company called Jungle Software.
And by the way, Jungle Software is not affiliated in any way with this video. I'm just telling you exactly what I used and what I did, and there's many other types of budgeting software out there, but this is what I used. And I put my script in it, and I created a budget.
The budget included everything from permits to props to actors' pay to renting equipment to unexpected expenses and post-production. And then within the software, you know, you can create which scenes that you're going to shoot each day. I knew that I wanted to shoot the film in Temecula, California, where I lived at the time, because the script, it had a Western theme and it took place in a rural environment, and also Temecula had some of the most beautiful mountains as a backdrop. I then registered my film on IMDb Pro, and the next thing I had to do was to secure the permit to film on the bridge in the Old Town part of Temecula. So I contacted the city, but they said they had not had anyone actively at the film commission there for many years. I kept trying, and finally I was put in touch with a woman named Bonnie. Bonnie became my light at the end of the tunnel.
You see, sometimes when everyone's out there telling you no,
all you need is to keep trying, and then the universe will send someone out of nowhere to help you. Between working with Bonnie over a couple of months, we managed to get the permit from the city to film on the bridge, and in doing so, Bonnie was also excited because she said that my little film, would be the start of the Temecula Film Commission becoming reactivated and alive again. I also had to obtain production insurance, which was required. We had an old truck that we would be putting stationary on the bridge there. We had to have that included in the insurance so the city wouldn't be liable in case something happened, like if the truck rolled or it accidentally started moving, anything like that. And I think our policy had to be something like $1 million. The policy was very affordable, though. I went through an agency, and I think the name was Athos. Getting that old truck was also a miracle. Most film car rental places, they want an arm and a leg, and they want their cars to be towed to the site and not to be driven, and they have very, very strict rules of what you can and can't do with them. So we literally chased down and stopped everyone we saw on the road driving old cars. Literally. I mean, if we saw them at a signal, oh, look, there's a truck. We would zoom after them, follow them to the next signal, roll the window down and say, hey, I like your truck. Would you like your truck to be in a little movie that I'm making? We'll pay you, blah, 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 blah. But 99.9% of them said no. The film commission, they were so accommodating to me that they even closed off main streets for me, and they gave me a few policemen on set because we were also using fake guns, and this also had to be cleared in case the city police saw us filming and they might think something bad was going on in real life and someone could get hurt. While all this was going on, my co-producer and I had entered a search for actors in all sorts of places, including IMDb, Backstage, some other sites that I can't remember right now. And as interested parties applied, we began filtering through the audition tapes that they sent to us.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that the original actress that we had hired to be in the film, she was stalling signing her contract and everything. But then she finally signed it, and that was great. But a couple of days before primary production started, she notified us that she was pregnant when she signed, and that she had just given birth, and that she wanted to bring her newborn baby to the set, and she wanted us to accommodate her and her baby, to make arrangements for her and the newborn baby to be on set with a nanny. So shout out to Crystal Vallejo, who came through for us in a clutch, and actually I think that she was the better actress for the film anyway. So shout out to Crystal.
Meanwhile, we had all the scenes broken down. Everything was in a huge binder and categorized, which I highly suggest. That was a good idea. We began scouring all over secondhand thrift stores and Amazon and eBay for props. And because the story was about a Mexican family that worked as migrant workers, we had some of our Mexican friends help us out, and they told us where we could go in LA to find some authentic clothing. We had a box of props for each scene that was labeled, and each prop was tagged for the day of filming, and that would also be on the box. And once we secured our actors, we would use templates for our actors' contracts and the NDAs through something like you would see at studiobinder.com. All legit and all legal, and we had both union and non-union actors. And since everyone was traveling in from distant places for the production, the kid and his mom came from the East Coast, some came from LA, some from Vegas or somewhere, Arizona. And we decided to rent an Airbnb huge house for all of us to stay in so that we wouldn't have any delays in production. Everyone had their own private bedroom. We ate well daily. And as people's scenes became finished and we no longer needed them on set, they were released from the house. Thank goodness the mom and the kid and everyone else was willing to pay for their own travel expenses. The universe answered again. And a co-worker, a male nurse, agreed to play a small part. But actually, we had hired Joseph Ganascoli, who played Vito in The Sopranos, to play that part. But we had to change a date in our production, and then he wasn't available that day. That was our loss. He was a very nice guy. He was willing to do it, and he was available for the first date that we had set for the production. So I was really sad that he couldn't do it after we changed the date. But we had a scene in a bar, and then we needed a location for that. We found a country western bar in Temecula that was right near where the bridge scene was. And the owners were so nice to us that they allowed us to film in a back part of their restaurant. It was perfect. They negotiated with us as long as we had insurance and we would film early before they opened. I find that most people are generally nice and they want to help if you give them a chance, but it took a lot of talking and being real with them and allowing them to get to know you as a person. As long as we bought food and drink was all that they were asking of us. So we promised to have our wrap party there, and we did. Another location we needed was a Christmas tree farm. I found one in Menifee, the Wicker Tree Farm. It's still there today. Meanwhile, it was getting harder and harder for me to walk, and my knee was swelling up like the size of a grapefruit every day. But I had to push through. The film was almost finished, and Motrin became my best friend. I went to speak with the owner, and it was an old man that owned this tree farm. And he said he didn't care if we filmed there. All he wanted was $50. So I agreed, but he also made honey on his farm. So I purchased cases of fresh honey from him, and I gave them out to my cast and crew as gifts. Not everything went well. When we were filming the bridge scene, some drunkards came from the bar and they wanted to enter our blocked off area. And they got into an argument with one of our crew members, and because she is European and had an accent, they assumed that she was German. She's not, she's Czech, and they started telling her things like, go back home, and you don't belong here, and blah, blah, blah. You know, it was just a bunch of drunk idiots who had to be removed by the city police. The whole production took us maybe about 10 days, or maybe 2 weeks, but I think it was something like 10 days. And then I had my film in the can. Well, actually on a hard drive, which I carried with me and I guarded with my life. This is another big thing. We had just transferred all the footage to my hard drive right before we all went our separate ways. At first, someone said, I can just send you the rest when I get home. But I remember saying, no, I'll wait for the transfer now. You know, and that took a long time. So we were outside of a restaurant in a parking lot, sitting on our cars, doing our movie film transfers to my hard drive. So I'd have everything on one hard drive for that day. And I'm really, really glad that I waited and I got the footage. Because that crew member got into a bad accident on the way home. He was fine, but his car was totaled. And I can't remember, I think something happened to his laptop too, because he sent a picture of his totaled car and kind of a smashed laptop or something. So always go with your first instinct, and that probably saved my little film. And I'm so glad that he was okay. That was my first priority, that he was okay. So I was ecstatic. I had guarded my treasured hard drive, and I had my film. The editing, the post-production almost killed me though. It took months of editing to get it right.
hearing the same scenes over and over, the same audio over and over, matching the audio, making the mouths match the audio, all that, just until 3 o'clock in the morning every night working on this. I also did the editing myself. I had a sound studio man that worked from home that fixed all the levels for me to get them right. And then one day it was done and we ran the festival circuit. I'm still proud of that little film, and we all had fun working on it. I was planning to make a feature in 2019 when I retired early, but then COVID hit the world and life was turned upside down. During that time, I developed other interests like baking sourdough bread like everybody else. But after the smoke cleared, I found that I was more interested in moving abroad, which I did in January of this year for good to the Czech Republic. I also began to take an interest in documentary filmmaking, and I'm beginning a course with the Sundance Institute this month. Maybe as I work on that, I'll make a video as I go along. Overall, the experience was worth it. And would I do it again? Abso-freaking-lutely. It was some of the best time in my life. It was so much fun.
Okay, so you're probably wondering what this little film cost me, right? Well, keep in mind that this was before everyone was basically making free movies on their iPhones. I also budgeted $10,000 for this film. I think I spent like $11,500. That was including post-production, expenses like sound mastering, color correction, a DCP digital cinema package, which is the format that you need your film to be in so that it can screen in film festivals. And by the way, after that I had surgery on my knee for my torn meniscus. So if any of you have made a short film under similar crazy circumstances, I'd like to hear about it in the comments.